On August 1977, the island town of Colares in Pará, Brazil, experienced an unusual series of events. Located near the mouth of the Amazon River, the town became the epicenter of an unprecedented series of UFO sightings. These sightings drew the attention of both local residents and authorities, marking a significant moment in the history of this small, otherwise quiet community. Colares, with its approximate coordinates at 0.9178 degrees S latitude, 48.2808 degrees Y longitude, transformed into a focal point for aerial phenomena that defied conventional explanation. Residents of Colares reported a series of sightings involving luminous objects in the night sky. These objects, described with geometrically precise shapes, varied in brightness and intensity. Witnesses noted anomalies such as orbs the size of golf balls and larger, structured crafts that displayed properties inconsistent with known atmospheric phenomena. These observations occurred repeatedly, each report contributing to a growing catalog of inexplicable aerial occurrences above the island. The Brazilian Air Force, recognizing the unusual nature of these events, dispatched Colonel Uyrangê Hollanda to lead a covert investigation known as Operação Prato, or Operation Saucer. This assignment underscored the seriousness with which these sightings were viewed by military officials. Colonel Hollanda's presence in Colares signified a crucial step in addressing the growing concerns among the population about the unexplained objects. Colares is characterized by dense vegetation covering much of the landscape and a humid tropical climate. These geographic and climatic attributes present substantial challenges for any investigative efforts. The town's infrastructure is limited, with dirt roads and wooden houses prominent. These conditions complicate both daily life and extraordinary investigative operations, adding layers of complexity to the unfolding aerial phenomena. In August 1977, initial reports of anomalous lights began to surface in Colares, Pará. Local authorities, receiving these accounts, cataloged them as brief observational incidents. At first, these occurrences were sporadic, lacking frequency and regular pattern. The lights, often dismissed as weather-related phenomena, were described in technical terms: brief luminescent flashes. The lack of audible or thermal evidence led to minimal concern or investigation by the law enforcement agencies at this stage. At 22:15 hours on a September night in 1977, a resident of Colares observed an anomalous event at the eastern perimeter of the town. A silent light hovered approximately 15 meters above the tree line. The object's luminosity remained constant, yet devoid of auditory cues or temperature variation. The air remained still, and the absence of movement around the entity suggested a stable hover. The visual phenomena was isolated and lasted for several minutes before dissipating without trace. At twilight on a late September day, children reported observing beams of light near Colares Wharf. These beams appeared to intermittently interact with the water's surface at a measured distance of approximately 5 meters. The sighting was substantiated by nearby adults, who corroborated the children's observation with precise descriptions: fluctuating beams of considerable luminosity. The visual phenomena remained for several minutes, leaving no residual effect below the waterline. Following these sightings, witnesses began experiencing inexplicable physical symptoms. Medical reports documented cases of minor burns and punctures on the skin. These injuries appeared aligned with instances of light exposure. Affected individuals reported sensations of tingling across the dermis and episodes of nausea. The injuries were evaluated by healthcare professionals as requiring immediate medical attention. The relationship between the injuries and the light phenomena prompted further investigation by local health officials. On October 29, 1977, At 0030 hours, residents of Colares documented multiple sightings of triangular and cylindrical objects in the sky. These objects remained stationary for approximately 15 minutes over the town. Witnesses reported discrete beams of light emitting from these objects, which targeted specific residences. Observations noted the objects maintained a consistent altitude and trajectory during the event, exhibiting precise coordination. The angular positioning of the triangular objects and their methodical deployment of light beams suggested a controlled operation, the purpose of which remained undetermined. A female resident reported an incident while situated on her porch. A beam of light penetrated the interior of her home, leaving a 3-centimeter thermal burn mark on her forearm. Emergency medical response was deployed to assess the damage sustained. The burn exhibited characteristics of infrared radiative exposure consistent with thermal injuries. This incident prompted local authorities to initiate further investigation into the mechanisms by which these beams transferred energy upon contact, raising concerns regarding their source and intent. Operation Saucer increased surveillance operations in response to the recent incidents. Night vision goggles and photographic equipment were employed extensively. During a patrol north of the village perimeter, deviations on the electromagnetic spectrum were recorded. These deviations indicated a presence of unaccounted airborne phenomena. The patrol's findings suggested interference in standard electromagnetic readings, raising technical challenges for data collection. The crew logged these deviations meticulously, correlating equipment anomalies with visually observed activity. Radar stations involved in Operation Saucer consistently detected anomalies around the airspace of Colares. These anomalies affected flight paths over a radius of 200 kilometers. Corroborated testimonies from military personnel noted localized atmospheric disruptions, including sudden fluctuations in air pressure and temperature at specific altitudes. These atmospheric conditions paralleled electromagnetic deviations previously recorded, suggesting a potential correlation between the phenomena. Data analysis indicated the presence of an unidentified energy source operating within the vicinity. By November 1977, social and economic patterns in Colares began to shift. Residents, wary of repeated sightings, started avoiding outdoor activities after dusk. The bustling marketplace, once vibrant, saw a significant decrease in attendance, impacting local trade. Alterations to fishing and farming schedules were documented, reflecting a community adapting to an atmosphere of caution. The routines of everyday life, once dictated by the rhythm of nature, now conform to the ongoing presence of the phenomena. New behavioral patterns emerged, embedding a sense of vigilance within the populace. Operation Saucer compiled extensive documentation from 1977 to 1978, including photographs, radar logs, and eyewitness testimonies. However, no data conclusively elucidated the nature, sources, or intent of the luminous phenomena. Military records highlight periodic but inconsistent incidents. An analytical review reveals precision in the movements of unidentified aerial objects, yet their purpose remains speculative. These findings, though meticulously recorded, offered insufficient evidence to formulate a definitive account, as repeated patterns defied established aviation and weather phenomena. Captain Hollanda, responsible for overseeing Operation Saucer, recounted his observations post-retirement. He detailed crafts exhibiting controlled and deliberate movement, aligning with previous witness accounts of sentinel-like behavior. During interviews, Hollanda described the vehicles as capable of swift directional changes, often hovering silently before vanishing. Despite his testimony, no corroborative evidence substantiated these claims. Yet his experiences prompted further inquiry, though no formal investigation ensued post-operation. Hollanda's revelations contributed to ongoing speculation about the phenomena's origin. As Operation Saucer concluded, its files were moved to archival storage without immediate follow-up. With the cessation of formal investigations, media attention waned, leaving the events of Colares largely undocumented. In the absence of institutional acknowledgement, fear and uncertainty persisted among locals. Some residents chose to relocate, seeking distance from occurrences they could not rationalize. Despite the lack of resolution, the experiences in Colares remained a subject of local lore and infrequent national discussion, underpinning a cultural memory shaped by uncertainty. In 1997, Operation Saucer files were declassified by the Brazilian government. These documents, stored in the National Archives, contained photographs, radar logs, and testimonies from 1977 to 1978. Analysts noted intriguing correlations between reported sightings and radar anomalies. However, the data remained fragmented and inconclusive. Efforts to cross-reference the findings with external occurrences yielded no definitive conclusions. This declassification renewed public interest, leading to increased speculation. Researchers focusing on this period observed gaps in initial documentation, which fueled debate over the authenticity and completeness of the reports. Ufologists postulate an extraterrestrial origin behind the Colares incidents, attributing the controlled and sustained light phenomena to non-terrestrial technology. This theory garners interest due to the documented interactions between the beams and organic matter. Proponents highlight the precision of the beams, unexplained by terrestrial science. Comparative analyses with global UFO phenomena point to similarities, suggesting a broader pattern. These assertions, while garnering attention, lack verified empirical evidence. Researchers continue to scrutinize the reports, seeking correlations with known meteorological and astrophysical events. Skeptics propose atmospheric explanations for the Colares sightings, suggesting phenomena like ball lightning or plasma discharges. These theories attempt to account for the brief luminous manifestations observed. Despite some resonance with the manner in which light was described, they fail to fully rationalize the directed and interactive characteristics noted by witnesses. Researchers point to the lack of environmental conditions typically associated with such electrical phenomena. Ongoing debates weigh these natural hypotheses against evidence of technological sophistication. No consensus emerges, and the occurrences remain unexplained. In 1997, the unexplained death of Captain Uyrangê Hollanda, a key figure in Operation Saucer, introduced further controversy. Discovered hanging in his home,